Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of Punk Right. My name is Smee. Today I would like to recapitulate the major books that I have read in December and explain why if you pay attention to what you read, you can glean an awful lot about technique and style that can be incorporated into your own writing. Stick around. December finally rolled around and I had a little bit of vacation time and free time to do some quality personal reading. That's just for fun. But I also like to choose books randomly from the library. If they have awards, I usually pick them up, but I also just like to mix and match the genres just to get an idea of what other writers are doing and how their technique and style is incorporated into their own books and writing. The first one that I finished was Haruki Murakami's Norwegian Wood, which I'm going to save for a different segment. This needs its own video, for better, for worse. Anytime I see a book with two stickers on it, I'm going to pick it up. The book Shipbreaker was published in 2010 by Paolo Bacigalupi. Yeah, say that again. Bacigalupi. It was a National Book Award finalist and it actually won the Prince Award for Fine Young Adult Fiction, and it is worth every cent of that award. I picked this thing up and I got in chapter 1 and I really didn't want to put the thing down until I got to the end. I love authors who are able to build a strong world. Bacigalupi does an excellent job with world building, and he puts you right in with the characters and motivates those characters so that you believe everything that's going on. The other thing worth paying attention to are the plot devices he uses from chapter to chapter. It's difficult to make sure that you're having some pivotal moment at the end of each chapter that's just going to keep you turning and turning and turning. He does it fantastically. Highly recommended. Whew. What a fine story this is. For who does not want to read about such things? A boy who can talk to animals, a terrifying, perilous journey full of bravery and daring. Oh my God, did I love this book. 2018, Newbery winner. This is for you and your kids. My God, did I love this writing. Catherine Murdock has a special talent for using language. It is not easy to use colloquial language or period language correctly in your writing, and to do it with such meticulous care so that it works. Wow. Not only is the language and the writing fantastic, the story is so beautiful. I was enthralled. I was taken aback by the simplicity of the language, but the beauty of the way that she puts it together and marches you along this path of well, I'll let you read it for yourself. I do enjoy reading fiction, but nonfiction has a place in my heart. In fact, I've spent most of my time before really getting into writing and fiction writing in nonfiction. You gotta learn somehow. You can't do it all from YouTube channels. I picked up the book Creating Short Fiction, trying to look at how I can improve my short story writing. And Damon Knight, who is an older, actually he's dead, he was a science fiction writer. This book was published all the way back in 1980s. I think it was 1982, but I found it invaluable. If you're interested in working on your short story writing or your short fiction, this is exactly for you. It's full of not only clear explanations, good writing, he incorporates his own examples using his own writings, and also has many different practice techniques that you can apply if you want to give it a go. I'll be honest with you, I had never heard of Walter Mosley until just a couple weeks ago. At the beginning of the pandemic, I signed up for the master classes. $180, very well spent. Again, it's part of my higher education for learning how to do cool shit. Walter Mosley, I loved his course, and I was enthralled by his messages and also his perspective on writing, but guiltily, I had never read anything that he'd done. So I picked up the only book that I have in the library by Walter Mosley, 47. A couple things that I really appreciated about the book. One, his prose is beautifully written, it's simple and clear, and it never distracts from the story. He said in his master class, which I found kind of brilliant, he says, people ask him, how do you know when your story is finished? And he says, well, I sit and I write. He writes 1,000 words a day. And he rereads and he rewrites and he rereads and he rewrites until he sees problems that he can no longer fix. And when he knows that he can't fix it anymore, he's done. The other thing that I appreciate very much about the book is that the protagonist is a young African-American boy who is in slavery. This type of young adult literature is extremely important. And it's not important only in terms of maintaining some sort of historical aspect through your fiction. It's also important for kids of color or minorities to understand that, hey, anyone can be a hero. There was an overt conversation on the heels of Black Lives Matter coming out of the publishing companies in terms of why the representation is not there for minority groups. This is why you must pay attention to certain pieces of literature. Not only is it entertaining, it's also great in terms of establishing role models for the right kids. I just finished this one last night. I have really come to appreciate Brandon Sanderson. And I made it through the first Mistborn book, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get an idea, I can understand this. And then I picked this one up just to get into it, to see, I was a little curious about it, where it was heading. And god darn it, I just couldn't put the thing down. What I have really come to appreciate about his writing is the way that he uses dialogue to move his story along. This is a long book, in a thick book, because he's got so many characters involved. But the way that he uses both the point of view and perspective from each character in combination to the dialogue with other characters is artful. And it's a skill that I would love to try to emulate in my own writing, because you are instantly submerged into this culture, into this place, into these conversations with characters that build a beautiful work of fantasy. The other thing that I have appreciated so much about Sanderson's work is his ability to build a most believable lie. The world building is stupendous. Once you're in the laws that he has established in that world, he never deviates. They are clear, they are concise, and he uses them so effectively for his plot devices that you just have to appreciate this as a very significant and important piece of fantasy literature. I highly recommend it. Get into Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. Of course, if you're interested in writing and improving your writing, you need to read a lot. I encourage you to read disparate genres, multitude quantities of things that you would say, no, this just isn't my style. That's the one that you should pick up. You can always put it down, you don't have to finish it, but pay attention to what authors are doing, and it's automatically going to improve your perspective on your own writing. Thanks for joining us here on Punk Write. Remember, if you like the content, go ahead and subscribe below. We'll meet you back here whenever I can post a video. Till then, just keep writing. Punk Write.